Ow! For no reason at all, my wife just came in the room and slapped me in the back of the head.
There's probably something you did.
Yeah, to be fair, I probably deserved it.
But you
But
know
this is
what nobody deserves is another
another
episode of
episode.
the Argel Talk podcast.
You didn't ask for it, you didn't want it, here we are. Back, contrary to popular demand.
People are shocked when I tell them that we're still doing this. Like, oh, you guys are still going, huh? Yeah,
The, pe- the people were astonished at his doctrine.
they hated him for he spoke the truth.
That's right. Born on a mountain, raised in a cave.
So
So,
what's hip and happening with you?
so I'm just trying to finish out my World Eaters and have a physical copy of every model that I borrowed out at our last Williamsburg event. And other than that, waiting with somewhat bated breath to see if I'm gonna absolutely um, love third edition or hate it and continue to play second edition.
Yeah, that is certainly a thing on the horizon. So we are recording this on Sunday. The third edition official reveal stream was Friday. So that kind of places us where we are and what we know and what we don't know. And yeah, I think this is once we get there, it'll surely be the pick and piss of the week, no doubt.
No doubt.
But it'll be hard to
There will be
say.
much grumbling.
As for me, however, I finished. So I did finish all of my Sisters of Battle jet bikes, just in time for the edition change. And the funny. So one of the things that I had realized is that they've gone an entire edition without having an official model, and there are very, very few units that made it to second edition in the books that didn't have official models. And I'm wondering what that means. And if they're gonna come back,
Squatting.
if they're making a model for them, or if, yeah, they're gonna be squatted, folded back into Talons of the Emperor with Custodes, and I can just go fuck myself.
I'd like to see the model. I'd like to see the Iranese jet bike squad stay in the game, and I'd like to see Sisters fold back into Custodians.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too upset if that were to happen. Because I will say, like, I think I've cracked the code on White Scars. So when second edition first dropped, I had to do a whole revamp, which, funny enough, about a topic today. But I had to do a whole revamp on how I ran them, and I basically had to go through two iterations at least. Like this might be the third one that I'm on. And
It
like
is.
I could do okay against, mortals. Uh but like winning against Astartes, which is most of the armies, was like I think I did it like one time to a guy who was fairly new. Or like
Yeah,
maybe I also did it to Chris, but he was that's who he is. Um
he had it coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, now I've just been on a hot streak with them. I mean, with my main force, I've dabbled a little bit in the Magyar Mazan, and that's just its own beast. But I
It
think my
hurts everyone's
Shurian
feelings.
Brotherhood is finally in like the place where I really want it to be,
Hmm.
and we're gonna see what happens with that. But yeah, otherwise,
Absolutely.
like I mentioned, I've been getting into BattleTech lately, so I just got some stuff printed, and that'll be what I'm painting up soon.
Oh yeah.
Completely, like legitimately, completely unrelated to the edition change. I needed to satisfy my thirst for mechs, and that's a hard thing to do in any Games Workshop system. AT is great, but nobody plays it, and I don't want to play Imperialis.
No, me neither. I'll play AT models in Imperialis, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the Titan Death game mode seems real neat, but it also seems to lack a lot of the crunch and bookkeeping that I like out of Titanicus, and that it just so happens is present 1,000-fold in classic BattleTech.
Hell, yeah.
Yeah, but
Big ass
that's
robots, models that haven't updated since the 80s. I'm in.
oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's
Having
that's
never
neither here
played it,
nor there. What?
I was gonna say, having never played BattleTech, I have painted a shit ton of BattleTech models. Commission work.
Oh
I've
yeah,
probably painted 50 or 60 of them in my time, which I
that seems
understand
like
is
a
a
fair amount.
fairly large amount.
Yeah, like I played today right before recording this, and it was the first game I played with another player. I just like opened the box and played against myself last week, and yeah, we just did 3 models aside, and we probably started around two o'clock and finished about 7. I mean, we didn't know, we had to look up a whole bunch of shit all the time, but yeah, it's there's a lot going on.
Absolutely. So, unlike Horus Heresy Second Edition, BattleTech will continue to stand the test of time.
Yep. Which
Rip.
yeah, so that gets us into, I think I speak for both of us when it's at least combination pick and piss of the week. We may as well talk about it a little bit. The reveal stream for third edition Heresy. It's not really our main topic. We won't spend too much time on it. But what did you think of what we saw?
So, I was one of those grognards, one of those bolt rivet counters that did not call the Mark One Terminator Saturnine because they specifically weren't the same thing for like 30 odd years.
Sure.
So like I'll grumble a little bit about Saturnine. I think it's weird the Dreadnought is also called Saturnine. We haven't seen that before. Indomitus Terminator win or Indomitus Dreadnought win.
Right.
Give me a Cataphractii Dreadnought. But overall, I like the models. I think the double fisting plasma cannon Terminators look a little weird. The guns don't match the established design aesthetic we've kind of seen with Imperial plasma weapons.
Sure.
But overall, I think they're neat. I think they're crunchy. I really like the Praetor model, like the alternate build, where he's just like, here's my fist and here's my giant axe. Like I can get down with that.
Yeah, I think the box is itself pretty sweet. I've never been a fan of Saturnine Terminators, no matter what you call them, Mark One or Saturnine or whatever. Um, I do dig the Dreadnought though, and I was pondering for a long time like why that is. Why do I like the Dreadnought and not the Terminators? I think it really just comes down to the width of the Dreadnought's chest makes the pauldrons look a little bit like a little more proportional, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that.
I
Doesn't look
still
like he's
don't I
hiding in
don't
a turtle
hate
shell.
the Terminators. Certainly don't hate the Terminators the way I've seen like some 3D prints.
See, I like those 3D prints that are they dial the shoulder pads to 11, almost to the point of memedom. I'm kind of into that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, yep, here's a little round hole. And the rest is all pauldron.
Yeah,
Um,
I do like the Mark II a lot. So
oh,
like I
Mark II is
mentioned, I've
so
been
good.
dabbling in the Sagar Mazan for White Scars, which for those who don't know is like the opposite of Chigorian Brotherhood in that it's very infantry based. And so all of my White Scars, except for like the literally the crew of the javelins that came in Mark IV, Like everything else, I've converted my jet bikes and everything to be in Mark II. It is number one a fantastic armor mark for the White Scars, just based on like their logistics during the latter stages of the Crusade and early parts of the Heresy. And I also just think it looks really good as an armor mark.
Sure.
So
Perfect for the grabbed my shit and then went to the edge of the galaxy aesthetic.
exactly. Like they just weren't around as much to obtain some of the newer stuff. So having Mark II in plastic finally, and I have a the list that I've used. I've only used it in 2 games, and I won one and lost the other. But it's at least an interesting concept that I might explore further depending on what happens in the new edition. But that would definitely be a fantastic foundation for it.
Definitely.
Now, as far
I
as some of the oh yeah, go ahead.
Again, go ahead.
I was gonna say now, as far as
I
some
think
of the the rules that they announced, kind of all that stuff that I was just praising about the weirdness and over complexity of BattleTech, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about it. Having they showed like cool willpower and intelligence as separate stats for each unit. One of the things that I've brought up before is personal opinion of mine. I don't think that psychic checks should be made on the highest leadership in the unit. I think it should be just the psyker casting the power because of just the intimacy you have to have with the warp and what that does to you. It's got to be your own
sure.
willpower. Well, that could be a thing where you might have your praetor with his leadership 10 and a willpower of like 7 or whatever the scale is, and then your psyker
Yeah.
happens to be the guy whose willpower like 9. And so, sure, and then you make the psychic check against the highest willpower, and it's probably going to be your psyker. So I think something like that would be really neat. And then just having separate things for, like, yeah, you're less likely to fall back if you have a higher leadership, but maybe you'll lose your cool easier and get pinned. Like, I don't know that that's how that's going to work, but like, I could get behind
Yeah.
something like that. I,
So I could too. I'm concerned because a lot of those stats were in Rogue Trader, and we don't play Rogue. We haven't played Rogue Trader since 1989 for a reason.
yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how they folded it in, or if it's just a mess.
Yeah, I do think the having the damage stat that they showed, that's going to be an interesting one. It opens up a lot of questions and possibilities, and they don't all thrill me. But
Yeah,
we already kind of have, we have brutal. Like
yeah,
that's a
and
thing that's in
brutal.
the game.
Yeah, and brutal. Some people have argued was a misstep, although I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean it's
I
not my
worry that
favorite rule, but I don't loathe it.
yeah, they were sparing enough with it that it doesn't feel oppressive.
Right.
Um, I do worry that changing to multi damage is going to very quickly kind of take the game down the um set up armies, roll roll for see who goes first and shake hands because you're done. I do worry about that.
So that is a fair statement. However,
Ain't
it would
first, you'll last.
depend on because like everything does 1 damage now, but most things, I mean not everything, but many things only have 1 wound base. So like
Right.
there are a significant number of things for which that would not really matter.
Yeah.
But you never know. They might start, every tactical marine might have 2 wounds from now on. We don't know enough really to say.
Yeah. Very, very hard to know.
Yeah,
We'll have
but
to see.
with that aside, like I think that's kind of all I care. I don't really care to speculate
Beat
too
that to
much
death. That's what
more.
everyone else is doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many unknowns. I do worry a little bit what it might mean for vehicles, but I mean, it might mean nothing at all. they might make vehicles better, and like it could be like brutal doesn't affect vehicles now, so maybe it won't still, but we don't know,
Yeah,
and we won't
don't
know
know.
for a while. I don't think at this time they've announced a release date yet.
Rumor is July, but the rumors are like, well, they're about as useful as a fork in a soup eating competition.
Yeah, especially given, man. Okay, so just one more. I know I don't know how widespread the alleged leak of Legion rules was, but we obtained one from a source that is unknown to me, at least. And like, you take the whole salt shaker with that one, man. Like, they literally just copy pasted the Space Wolf current Legion rule on White Scars. That made me think, like, yeah, I don't think this one is it. I don't think this is
No.
real. I'm sure there's all kinds of those out there running around.
Yeah. So there's a lot of time for people to speculate, a lot of time for them to get us clues. What I can't, well, what we can do though here, rather than join the speculation train in the, oh no, what are they going to do? Instead, I'd like to, for our users here, I think this is a good segue point. Um, talk about what you can buy now if you were in a buying mood and kind of future proof yourself a little bit. Yeah?
Exactly. So we got a lot of time and a lot of time to think and have a lot of historical data. There's a every edition change is gonna have some clear winners as far as units go and some clear losers. But what it's always gonna have are some that at least maintain the baseline.
Yes, definitely. And it's not to say that you should only buy things based on winners, but you should probably buy things, the first things you buy for the people at home, this is my opinion, I don't know where you sit, is that you should probably buy things that you're going to want to play and that you're going to get use out of, not get into a game and buy stuff that you'll never use ever and waste your first however many hundreds on purchase with crap that you don't need.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that is definitely a an issue that people seem to have in this hobby in particular is just buying all kinds of stuff, and we have the term the pile of shame for a reason. So I
Yeah.
think you start there. You buy stuff that you actually want and are gonna use. Like that's a good it's a good baseline for anything.
Yeah, there's always the, what's the word I'm looking for? So there's this temptation, and our friends over at James Workshop are very, very good at feeding this temptation, where you new edition drops and they go, "Oh man, we got a super heavy tank," and all the kids get real excited and they get their Christmas eyes and they stand outside of the GW shop. And it's snowing and there's the electric lights glowing, and then they buy a fell blade and they're like, "Yeah, but I don't have an army to play that fell blade in, so it's going to sit on the shelf for 2.5 years."
Yeah, and of course
This
we've
is our
also seen things like when all the plastic heresy dreads released and they were like shit hot in 40K for a minute, and then they just moved all those rules to legends, and you can still, which it means you can still use them. By the way, you just can't use them in tournaments, but people don't want to hear that.
correct because it's a very tournament focused meta in game.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
so yeah. So start there. You make sure that what you're buying is in fact gonna be something that you like or want to use
Right.
for a faction that you at least play at the time or have ambitions towards. I think another thing would be as much as we were talking about like new box sets and shiny new things and all that. I do think that a lot of the uh, like starter boxes for Heresy in particular, the big box for this edition and the box for the next edition. Like I think that the stuff in there is just always gonna be good no matter when you buy it, and you can use them for so much. Like number one, I mean the obvious thing is like, oh, what is always gonna be good in Heresy, or at least usable, is gonna be tactical marines. Like you can never go wrong with tactical marines. It might not be
No.
the thing that you really need the most, but you're never gonna be making a mistake by having them because you can also turn those things into so many other things. I use like almost all, I think, of the Mark 6 tacticals that came in the box. None of them turned into tactical marines. I
Ah,
made
yeah.
snipers, I made seekers. I think I made some veterans for my Night Lords, possibly.
Oh yeah. Um, the in the how many years have I been playing? Close to 8 years, I think now. I've been building or playing stuff for it. It's over 6. I bought probably dozens of tactical squads, and I have maybe 4 tactical squads amongst all my armies put together. Like Heresy armies, that is. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna use them. They're a good purchase. They're a good buy. I think, and this is gonna be a weird one because this is directly contrary to what we just said about don't go out and buy your Lords of War right away. As far as future proofed, I think if you know what Legion you're gonna play, and you're confident you're not gonna drop out, I think the Primarchs are always gonna be a good buy for a Legion player.
Yeah,
They're
I
they're
mean,
gonna they're
it
gonna
is
survive edition to edition. They are the stars of the show.
right. Yeah, they're never going to make like craptastic rules for your primary. They might make some questionable decisions, and there's always going to be some that are not as good as the others. Like I'll be honest, I've used the con a couple of times. He has not impressed me, and maybe I just wasn't using him right. Definitely a
Yeah,
possibility, but he's definitely not on the level of something like the Lion or the Nighthaunt or Angron.
right. Or Gilliman.
But you know what? At the very least, like, glad to have him. There's always
Yeah,
going to be some situation, whether it be an event or somebody just likes using Primarchs in their games. It's always
yeah.
going to be a thing.
Never gonna be a bad purchase. Never out of style to have a Primarch. I also think, and this is a specific model, 2 specific models that I think are good future-proof purchases if they're up your kind of tree here. As a player. I think since they got models and didn't get rules, Lutera Saren and Demon Angron are gonna be. They're gonna have rules in third, obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
They're gonna survive the transition because they haven't even come out yet. So
I mean
those are
that.
just a
So I
couple of
will. I
easy
will say on
low
that
hanging
one,
fruit.
like, it could end up being a similar situation as like Fulgrim Transfigured, where the army that he plays with is incredibly circumstantial, and we have no way of knowing what Legion's Hereticus Emperor's Children is going to be like. So, I mean, maybe
Yeah,
maybe take some caution there. But like at the
sure.
very least,
Maybe.
you can use Angron as like something in Demons of the Ruin Storm whenever they release
Mm-hmm.
again. He's probably gonna be at least like at a similar scale to Cabanda or
Mm-hmm.
generic HQ at the very least. So
Yeah,
you're
Bloodthirster's a
always you love
Bloodthirster,
Bloodthirster, yeah, Bloodthirster's a Bloodthirster.
and the Lotera Saren can be used as any. That's certainly good conversion bait for any number of mortal heroes in your armies.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, I think chaplains are always a good buy. If you have a chaplain model, that's going to be a good buy. Or
Yeah,
chaplain-like models. Your loyalist overseer console looks like a chaplain.
yeah. Even if they decide that, oh yeah, we're not doing what is it, Legionis Auxilia or whatever,
Yeah,
then yeah, you build an overseer. That guy probably looks like a chaplain, and he's chaplain is like historically has
good
never been a
go-to.
bad move in any game system.
It's been a good go-to since the first Warhammer edition, so I don't see it going away. Um, I personally, and as a person who loves bikes, I think we all love bikes here. The new and improved Argel talk. We all love bikes. I think
For
bikes are
sure.
going to be a bad. I would wait to buy bikes till
Yeah,
after the rules come out
yeah, and I'd like to
of
talk a
any
little more
flavor.
about like things to avoid here once we're done talking about all the
Yeah,
stuff to get.
things to
But
look.
yeah, I think I would agree with you on that. Now,
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand. Get and don't get
yeah,
are kind of
I
hand in
think
hand.
dreadnoughts are always going to be a good pick as well. Um, Contemptors
Contemptors, that is.
especially, yeah, they're the heresy poster child. They were never bad, like straight up. Like
No, they weren't.
you always saw
They've always been
dreadnoughts
good.
all the time, even when they were vehicles and subject to all the rules therein. So even then, like they were good. I don't think they're ever going to be bad. They're always in the boxes, or at least some variety has been.
Yeah.
Whether it was, but I think Betrayal of Calf had one. The second edition box set had one.
What was the other one? Not Trail of Kelth, the other one.
Burning of Prospero. I don't remember what was in that box. It probably had one. Maybe.
Well, let's look. I don't remember. I think that one. No, that had custodians in,
Oh
didn't
yeah.
it?
Oh, but also speaking of stuff that comes in the boxes, Terminators are, they fluctuate in their baseline abilities, but you could still turn regular plastic cataphracti or Tartaros set into a Legion specific unit if you wanted to, or, leave
Yeah,
them as is. Like, there's all kinds of things you can do with it.
Terminators are good. Speaking of Prospero, I do think if you are a guy who has interest in custodians, a squad of custodian guards is never going to be a bad investment.
Yeah, I mean, even assuming like if there for whatever reason ends up not being like troops as a concept in third edition, just custodians are custodians.
They've always been good. The Marines plus, you're not gonna you're not gonna have a bad time. I think getting your upgrade kits, those are all going to be good purchases.
Oh yeah, like
Always.
the Legion helmets and shoulder pads for sure.
hmm So really, Terminators, dudes, upgrade kits. I would personally wait till you see till the rule books drop before investing in weapons upgrade kits.
Yeah,
'Cause I think we know that's going to change a lot, and I think we don't know what that's going to look like.
a hundred
I have a
percent.
feeling las cannons are not going to be the do-all gun that they were in Heresy 2.
Yeah, maybe not. Although speaking
What?
of, I think so beyond just purchases, right? So let's say
Mhm.
you just have a bunch of stuff. Obviously, like magnetizing is a thing you can do. I don't ever magnetize infantry, um, but like tanks and whatnot. If you have a predator, don't glue on your turret and then magnetize your sponsons. Maybe predators are suddenly dog shit. Well, you'll still have a rhino at least. And
Mhm.
I mean, that's never going to be bad.
Yeah. And there are plenty of I have seen a bunch of 3D print files where if you have a predator where you can just kind of print out and magnetize on a big old like decorative dome on the top and some decorative doors on the side, and boom, now your predator's back to being a rhino. That's a thing now.
Yeah. I would also say don't use plastic glue. And the reason I say that is because, I've been here myself where you have a unit and for whatever reason you just don't have a use for it anymore, whether it's related to addition change or what have you. Um, and if you just need to do something like, oh, I just need to take off the guns or the arms and replace them with something else, you can do that fairly easily with super glue. Put it in the freezer for a little while. You'll get a nice clean break. But plastic glue is going to melt that together, and you're going to have to cut it, and you're going to have a much more difficult time.
You're gonna have a bad time, kids. Okay. No doubt. I'm right there with you. I have fought the good fight with plastic glue myself. It is not good. Not fun. Super glue is the way, and be sparing.
Yeah, be sparing. It,
Less
it is
glue
a
is.
little more work to like fill in gaps that happen because they will happen, but I
Mhm,
think in the long run, it's worth it.
definitely.
Because I did that like in my Night Lords veterans from first edition. I took their guns to make seekers,
Yep.
and some of my White Scars jet bikes, I just rearranged some of the guns on them with ones that I already have. Like I wanted more Volkite, I wanted more Melta, and was able to use the exact same models I had. Just had to clip off the weapons.
Yeah. I have definitely repurposed models. I had a buttload of tacticals in my Emperor's Children originally, and most of those got cut apart to make other units. I think I have bits and pieces of those in every army I own.
Yeah. So I will say, like, I also don't magnetize infantry that much, but an easy thing to do while you're building, that's way easier than like magnetizing arms, is if you've got like tacticals or mostly despoilers, um, you can easily magnetize the backpacks so that you can swap them to be assault marines. I mean, I've done that with my
Yeah,
rampagers. And I just use, depending on the list I run now, I don't always use jump pack rampagers or on foot rampagers, and it's the
yeah,
same models each time. I just swap out the backpacks before the game.
definitely. And we've talked before as far as multi-use models about. I think we've actually talked on the channel here about getting models that you can use for multiple purposes. Maybe they're rampagers today, maybe tomorrow they're a veteran squad, for
Yeah,
instance, or what have you.
or like pulling
Get
guys out
multi-use
to make
models,
sergeants of other units.
right? Or make oh, I'm not running whatever suzerains today, but I do need an extra HQ guy. So here you go, boom. Got to think with a weather eye. Here at the good old Argel Talk, we are first of all cheap.
Indeed.
Great success. So
Yeah, I think
that's
yeah, magnetizing all that, like you can magnetize a bunch of vehicles too. There's so many vehicles that are just all on the same chassis, even like including Lords of War.
yeah. Lords
Like,
of War,
oh, you have a
super
Spartan.
easy to do it.
So like if you have like the Typhon is on the Spartan chassis, I don't
Yeah,
that might be a little tough, but you could probably do it.
yeah. I was thinking specifically all the Bane, almost all the Bane whatevers can be done.
Yeah,
There's YouTube
and
videos.
if you're on the
Basically, you glue like a fucking piece of sprue to the inside of it, and then you can just get all eight out and just push fit it. You don't even have to magnetize.
yeah, and a lot of the kits they're making now, like the Kratos, is kind of made for that kind of modularity. Like there's
Yeah,
the like half
the
my
case
Kratos isn't
mates.
even glued together. Like the main turret, you can easily just pull the gun off and put a new one on there. The
The case mates are all slotted, aren't they? So you can just push it into the
Yeah,
slot.
like the nipple guns, yeah, and
Yeah,
the sponson's probably the only thing you have to magnetize. And even then, I think they're on like you just have to like twist them and they like lock on and off.
yeah. So it's super super easy.
Yeah, there's some things
And
that are kind
that's
of doing the job for you. The only issue is if you want a Kratos, but if you have a Kratos and something changes where you don't want to run Melt anymore and you want to run Volkite, that's all. That's an easy swap built in the kit.
Yeah, golden handled. Um,
Same thing with Dreadnoughts. You can magnetize those quite easily.
yeah, a lot of that is push fit. I have found with the current Contemptor kit, I have gotten away with just putting a dab of glue on the inside of where the two arm pieces of the arm joint, the shoulder joint, or not shoulder, the elbow joint comes together. We
Yeah,
have the two loops, and the one loop goes inside. Just put a piece of glue, just a dot of glue, on one of those contact surfaces, and then let it dry before you push that together, and it will just interference fit, and you're good to go. Just that little bit of interference for those who hate magnetizing at home.
yeah,
Yeah, so dreadnoughts, tanks. I tell you what, if you're into mortals, I think we know mortals are gonna be in the next edition. Don't know what that's gonna look like, but I think you can't go wrong with Lehman Russ tanks.
yeah. Or even basic dudes. There's so many things you could do with just like a basic rifleman, whether he's an
Yeah,
infantry guy or oh, I need him to stand next to my artillery guns and be a crew member or
yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. So they have stuff to do. You know, your various 900 different flavors of Magos that they have made in 40K and Heresy. Those are always good buys. Those are always good things to keep on hand. If you want to do mech stuff, you know you're gonna need a Magos of some flavor.
Yeah, for sure.
I would shy away from sisters till we see what they do with them. They have flip flopped them back and forth now between part of Talons, not part of Talons, own army. It seems every game they've been in, they've been flipped every time a new edition drops. As to how they work and what they do. So
Yeah.
I think that's fairly covers most of the stuff. What do you think? Most of
Yeah,
the
I mean, I think the
go
key
tos.
takeaways are get the basic stuff that can be used for many purposes. Build stuff in such a way that you could just use it in different games for different purposes. Magnetize where you can, and just be clever where you can't.
Yeah.
Avoid. I would say I would go on a limb and say avoid like right away buying all the or like exclusively all your Legion specific
Oh
units.
yeah. Avoid that.
Like the just
You
for
see what they
world
do.
eaters alone, the swing in usability between I mean both Rampagers and Red Butchers in my opinion between editions the from 1 to
Oh yeah.
2 were like Rampagers were bad before. Like I still used them, but I
Hmm.
suffered for it. And now they're fantastic. And Red Butchers were really good, and now they're okay.
Yeah.
But who knows what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I never say like never buy your Legion specific stuff, but just keep that in
Unless you're White
mind.
Scars, then avoid most of it.
Yeah, like legit.
But like Fulmentaris has changed 3 times in 2 editions for as a even harder example of wait and see what they do with it. Because
Yeah,
Fulmentaris were just like, oh yeah, here's budget Tyrant Terminators. Then it was like, oh wait, here's the best shooting unit in the game. Then it's like, oh wait, here's a 65-point plasma gun.
yeah, yeah.
So keep a weather eye. Do not let FOMO drive you into doing dumb shit that you will then not want to play the game anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing because obviously, like, no matter what happens, you're going to have to wait and see, and there's going to be a time where you decide that you have seen, and you're going to go ahead and buy stuff, and you're never going to have uh, a purchase that is like you're never just gonna have an army that is always really good in every edition. There's gonna be fluctuations in how good some of it is, and
Sure.
ultimately you just gotta go with what you like. But there are steps you can take to make it a little more likely that you can get maximum use.
Yeah, exactly. You want your purchases as much as you can. You want your purchases to survive. You don't want to buy something and then a year later be like, "Oh wow, I can't believe I bought this. I hate myself now."
Yeah,
You want to
something that
avoid
like,
that.
oh, and now there is nothing else that I can ever use this for except for, the plasma fuckinator 10,000. It's like, well, you know, have
Yeah,
something
now
where
you're
you can
screwed.
turn it into the las cannon fuckinator 10,000 now.
Exactly. It's I mean, we play at our local game shop, and every 3 months, when a new codex drops in 40K, the used miniature shelves. The week before it drops, you see a bunch of stuff people bought 3 months prior for the last codex. And then the week after the codex drops, we see all the stuff from the new codex back on the shelves. Avoid doing that to yourself. Stop buying things for full price and then selling them to a game store for 30% store credit.
Yeah.
It's not good for you, kids.
So I guess to bring it back, stop rambling. It is yeah, some of that's going to be unavoidable. There's always going to be something that it changes, and now bikes are toughness 4 and not as good as they are. And you can't avoid that, but there are some things where you can mitigate it. And that's all we're trying to say, I
Yeah.
think.
Try to be as smart as you can and get the maximum bang for your buck.
Yeah, before you decide to get rid of something because Fulmintaris are trash now, look at it and say, well, what if I just clipped off the plasma missiles and just used them as a command squad?
Yep. And now they're just Terminators. I still have mine, even though they got bad. I still have them, and they're just Terminators now.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I think that covers the full message for the kids at home.
Yeah, bit of a
Yeah,
short one today, but I think it's a good one to put out there. And like I said earlier, I don't want to get caught up in speculating what the new edition is going to be
right.
like. There's everybody and their dog is doing that already, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't want to do that at all. That's I don't even watch those videos whenever a new edition drops. I avoid them like a plague.
Honestly, I didn't watch
You
the
know.
stream either. I just waited for everybody to post pictures of it in the group chat.
Yep, I'm just like we have people for that. There are people who don't read but will sit and watch a 3 hour stream on Twitch. I'll wait till they're done because I can read and they'll tell me what happened.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Man.
Any final thoughts? Bit of a quick one today.
Oh, um, really, my only final thought is you had said earlier about how the boxes are always good. I will do one critique: is every box has one unit that probably shouldn't be in the box. I'm gonna call right now this edition, this coming edition. It's the big stupid gun emplacement. I think that's not super
Oh, is
universally
that is
good.
that in the box?
That's in the box, from what I saw.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I
that.
didn't think it was.
Yeah, I was of the opinion that the Spartan didn't necessarily need to be in the box in the Age of Darkness box.
Yeah, I agree with
I think
that.
it's
I
too big
think
of a
it's
tank for a starter set.
yeah, that is definitely one of those things that a new player sees that and they're like, "Well, this is what I got," and then you're putting 400 points into a tank that you only have like a couple of tactical squads to move it in, or like a 5-man cataphract. That's not
Yeah.
really the best use for it. But that's, I mean, as a if you're a new guy, that's kind of hard to tell off the bat.
Yeah, or like the and that's a thing in every box has something, and you can go down the line. The Solar Aux should not have had a Dracasan in that. That's a terrible thing to put in a starter box. Here's a 300 point Rhino with a Demolisher cannon on top.
Yeah,
In an army that really you would just need 300 more guys. You don't need that. Or every box has something that's like, oh, why did you put that in there? That's my why did you put that in there unit. The big,
yeah,
what do they
I
call
would
it?
agree with that.
Arachne quad accelerator turbo emplacement. I don't know, something like that.
Something like that.
Slices it, dices, serves ice cream.
Hey, but you know what? I'm sure there are people who are going to want more of that, so you'll have stuff that you can use to trade or
Oh
sell.
yeah. If nothing else, it makes a good terrain piece on your table.
Yeah, that too.
Here you go. You want to make a table at home. This Argel Talk prediction. There's going to be 900 of those on eBay from people who did not want a gun emplacement. Buy them, put them, glue them to a piece of foam and put them on your table at home.
Make your own Siege of Terra wall.
Exactly. Make a big old beachhead or something. I don't know. It'll be great. The kids will love it. So yeah. I think that just about brings us to the end of our spiel for the evening.
Yep. I mean, biggest takeaway is be a crafty consumer. Know what it is that you're getting yourself into. Do a little research. You don't need the hot new thing right away, and then figure out what to do with it. And once you have stuff, make it work for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as always, remember to
Oh.
roll piss.